Welcome back to Skin Obsessed Mary, where apparently I talk about everything this week except skin. But there are 10 things that I use every single day. They make my life easier, cozier, and a little bit ridiculous. And yes, Gary hates half of them. And I wonder if you know what they are. I have broken these into categories, and the first I call convenience. These are the things that just make my life easier. Without them, I would have to work harder. And I don't mind working hard, but some shortcuts I'm more than happy to take on. Now, coincidentally, the convenience items are all in my kitchen. And that in itself is funny because I don't cook. Gary, the man behind the camera, is the cook in the family.
Yes, I am.
Yes, he is. He's very good. And I'm just the cleaner and the eater, I suppose. But sometimes I do support as sous chef, and I do a bit of prepping and chopping, and this is how I do it. Number one on my list is my vegetable chopper. Now, for some...
What?
Shut up. So for some, it's one of these things that they buy and it just collects dust in the cabinet, but not this one. And maybe I use it because I chop like a toddler. I think there's often a very good chance that I'm going to lose a finger. And Gary's actually, I can't tell. He's nodding his head.
Go on, buddy.
Okay. But having said that, the blades on these are particularly sharp, and I've cut my finger anyway, so user beware. But this thing cuts prep time in half. It works on onions, tomatoes, carrots, cucumbers, celery, just about everything. Although I haven't tried nuts. Maybe I should try nuts. And it cuts down on the onion crying too. So I think this is probably the third one that I've had in the last 10 years. I've gotten them all on Amazon. I've used them so much I've killed them. But this is just a staple. Even my daughters use it. It's just something I use all the time. And I guess you can probably guess that Gary does not.
No.
Now, if you've ever tried squeezing a lemon and ended up exfoliating your hand instead, this is a sign that you need this next item too. Number 2 on my list is my lemon squeezer. Now, this is actually a graduation from my previous device. So I used to have one that looks like this. In fact, I think I had 2 or 3 of them over the years. But then I found this one, which works even better. It gets every last drop from a lemon. And the reason that both of these products are so valuable to me is because we have salads most nights. And I'm always the one that makes the salad. It's very simple. It's just some chopped veggies, avocado, maybe some feta cheese. And my dressing is nothing more than a drizzle of olive oil and lots of lemon juice. It was my grandpa's dressing. So these 2 products make my contribution to dinner easier and faster. That allows me to spend more time making content for you while Gary is downstairs cooking the dinner. Let it be known that Gary does not use these devices, and his eyes roll every single time I take them out. Do they not?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, he's a just chop my hand kind of guy. Okay, so the next category is what I call creature comforts. These are the things that make my life cozier or just plain indulgent. And I wonder what Gary thinks is coming next. They are completely unnecessary, but by golly, do they make me happy. So number 3 on my list is my ice maker. Now hear me out. I am a gal who understands the value of drinking lots of water and staying hydrated. Well, this gal does not enjoy drinking warm water. Maybe it's because I'm from Florida, but this girl needs ice. And living in Europe means that sometimes we have to make sacrifices. Mine is the big ass American style fridges. And by the way, that's what they call them here, American style fridges. Which is so true. While many people do have them, we do not. And I long for the days of the fridge that makes ice. So for years, we've had to make them from cube trays, and I'm constantly refilling them because I am surgically attached to a water bottle filled with ice and water. I take these things with me everywhere. So we got an electric ice maker that makes like 9 cubes a minute. And our little guy works hard, but he is greatly appreciated. So the next one is at the opposite end of the temperature scale. This is all about warm and toasty. Number 4 is my heated mattress pad. Of all of the items on the list, I'd say this is probably the most life-changing. When I moved to Ireland from California 20 years ago, let me tell you, the cold evenings were a culture shock. I mean, there is nothing I hate more than getting into cold sheets on a cold night. So for years, I used to put a hot water bottle in my bed to warm up the sheets before I got in. But dude, like they're only this big. So I mean, how much can they really do in a bed the size of me? So this concept was completely unknown to me. And when I stumbled on one, it was an impulse buy because I just knew it was meant to be. Now, the one that I have now has a fleece cover on it, so it gives this extra cushiony feel under the sheet. And let me ask you, do you think Gary's a fan?
No.
No. So ours has two different controllers. So mine is typically on and his is typically not. Maybe twice a year he'll ask to have his on too, but it's very infrequently.
Not even plugged in.
Your side actually isn't even plugged in. That's a good point. So for me, this is on every single night from October to May. I put it on about 30 minutes before I get into bed, and as soon as I get in, I turn it off. But I can tell you, every single night, I get into bed and I let out this little sigh of happiness when I get in. It's just pure heaven. Okay, so number 5 is a very recent addition to our family. It's our new sofa, but it's a reclining sofa. Now, let me start by saying this is not something I ever wanted. I didn't like the look of them. I think they tend to look big and bulky, and for some reason, they always seem to be gray. Well, we stayed in a house this summer that had a reclining sofa. In fact, both sides of the couch went back, you know, when your feet come up. And after a few days, I started to think, these are actually pretty cool. So fast forward a few months, we were out shopping because we had gotten married and received a gift certificate for a local furniture store. And lo and behold, we stumbled on a set of couches and were shocked to find out that they were recliners. So they're now in our house. And I'm a little obsessed. Now, I know it's silly, but I'm being sincere when I say I have never gotten joy from a couch. And I'm quite sure that I'm actually never going to leave the house again. Okay, so next we're moving on to self-care. It's the health and fitness chapter of midlife survival. This has become a real area of focus for me as I hit my 50s. I'm 54, by the way. And I have seen a pretty freaking dramatic change in my body, and I'm having to pay attention to things I never did before. I have to work harder. I have to make better choices. And basically, I have to get my shit together. Thank you, menopause. So I used to worry very little about what I ate or how much I exercised. I still managed to stay about the same size. Well, those days apparently are over. And I know that there are a number of things that I have to do to be healthy as I age. I have to eat whole foods and as little processed foods as possible. I have to get good quality sleep, and I have to move my body, and I have to lift heavy, and I have to get my steps in. So that's where number 6 comes in. It is our foldable treadmill. Now, we got this about 2 years ago when I set a goal to seriously increase my step count. And for about 6 months, we were walking outside for about 30 minutes after dinner, but then winter was coming. And let me tell you, winter in Ireland is a dark, cold, and generally wet place. I don't want to walk in that. So we got a treadmill that I could use every day. But we wanted one that we can sort of hide if people were coming over or if we were entertaining. You know, we don't have a separate gym. That's a shame. I wish we did. So this actually stays in our living room right in front of the television because that keeps me occupied, which keeps me moving. So I walk 30 minutes every morning before I do resistance training. I also try to walk after every meal for at least 15 minutes because I know that it helps reduce blood sugar spikes. So I'm generally getting between 10 and 13,000 steps a day because of this machine. Now, it's a pretty basic model in that it doesn't have an incline or any kind of fancy bells and whistles, but the trade-off is that it's slim and it's hideable. And that enables me to walk as many times as I want to, and it fits into our lifestyle. So at this stage, there's no excuse. The onus is on me to do the work. Now, I can say I would not be in a house without a treadmill or a walking pad ever because it's keeping me moving. And yes, Gary does use this one, by the way. Is this the first thing on this list that you actually use?
Yes.
What number are we on? Is it 4? Oh my gosh.
I'm not listening.
I know you're not. And the only thing I need to do now is to put a desk over it so that I can do some work while I'm walking. I would love to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And that makes Gary want to puke. If you could see his face right now, he's like, forget about it. So another fitness product that has really changed my habits is number 7. It is the MyFitnessPal app. Now, I have used this on and off for years, but mostly I'm using it on for the past about 18 months. I don't use it to obsess over macros like calories or fats or whatever. What I've learned the most from it is measurements. Now, I am pretty sure that most of us don't realize how much food we actually consume. So what I've learned most is about food portions. I've learned about where the sugar is hiding and really understanding food content. We live in an ultra-processed world, and understanding food labeling has really changed the way I eat. And this app has helped me to do that. So I weigh all my food, and it's not to be controlling, it's just for me to understand. Now, I know this isn't for everyone, but I have learned monumental amounts from tracking my food. So this just helps keep me on track for making good decisions. Okay, so number 8 is a bit of fitness, I suppose. It is the Apple Watch, but it's not why you think. Now, I do love its functionality for fitness, specifically the steps. So as I've mentioned, I do have a daily target and it helps me to know where I am throughout the day. And then of course it connects to my calendar. It tells me when someone's calling because, by the way, my phone ringer is never on. But there's one primary reason why I wear this thing. Gary, can you say what it is?
Find your phone?
Yeah. You guys, I never know where my phone is. I walk around with it, I put it down, and then I don't remember where I put it down. So the watch helps me locate it. And anyone who knows me knows this sound.
The dog just hooked up.
Dog's like, where's mom?
She's lost her phone, Jackson.
I know. So I desperately would like to not wear this watch. I absolutely despise the look of it. I'm a tiny girl. I'm only 5 feet. And this thing takes up half of my forearm. And it seems like they keep making the screens bigger on it every couple of years, and I hate it, and I hate my reliance on it. In fact, just this morning, I realized that it didn't charge overnight, and I kind of went into a panic, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I did. That's how reliant I am on this piece of tech. And it's one that I truly wish I could live without. But so far, no. Okay, so number 9. I wasn't sure if this fits into health or to fashion. Am I kidding? It is definitely not fashion. It is so not pretty. But it is something that you wear. They're barefoot shoes. Now, let me be clear. These have never been of interest to me. They're ultra minimal shoes designed to mimic walking barefoot. They have thin soles, they have a very wide toe box, and they have zero lift in the heel. So your feet are actually doing the work. Gary and I have not really talked about this. I don't know what he's thinking right now. So this whole thing came about because of another YouTuber. Her name is Robin over at the Art of Self-Care. And she did a video about this genre of shoe, and it made me curious. Now, the theory is by connecting more with the ground, which is what these shoes are meant to do, they strengthen our muscles, our tendons, and our ligaments as we walk. They improve circulation and blood flow. They promote a more natural stride, all of which are meant to be better for us. And I don't mean to offend, but I guess I thought they were a bit woo-woo. I know they've been around for years. And by the way, I can be a bit woo-woo too. But not only that, I think they are excruciatingly unattractive. Particularly the ones with the separate toes. I just think they're so weird. Despite all that, I decided to try a pair. So I went pretty basic, but chose a brand that Robin suggested that were super inexpensive. But they were the cutest one that I could find. They're little Mary Janes. These are by Whitten. And I think they're about $30 at the time. They came from Amazon. So the very first time I wore them was the day that I was traveling back from Ireland to San Francisco. So lots of walking, airports, all that stuff. And I think I had them on for about 24 hours. And I thought they were great. But I'm also a girl who generally wears flip-flops. And I don't have high arches or super flat feet. So the lack of support doesn't bother me at all. I guess the only drawback is that the footbed was quite hard, a little harder than I'd like. Even my flip-flops have a little bit more softness, a little bit more give. But the idea was growing on me. And the thing I like the most is how much room my toes have just to spread out, and you can actually sort of feel your toes working. I like that. Now, these are not going to work outside of the summer or the spring because, believe you me, they cannot hack the cold or the rain. So these are not going outside. So I started searching for a winter appropriate pair. And let me tell you, they're pretty pricey and they're still not pretty. So I decided to test the waters with another pair without the hefty price tag. So I bought these guys off of Vinted, which is kind of like a Poshmark. And I got them brand new for only 15 euros. I do love buying secondhand, by the way. But these are also not for winter. But I'm just not ready to take a plunge on a pair of $200 boots if I'm not sold on the concept. Well, now I'm officially sold on the concept. These have got to be the most comfortable shoes I have ever worn. They beat my flip-flops. They even beat my golf shoes, which, by the way, are like walking on clouds. The footbed on this has a bit more cushion, a little bit more give, and I have worn them every day since I got them. Now, also not outside shoes. They're canvas. They're not going to work in the cold or the wet, but I'm wearing them for walking on the treadmill, weight training. I'm pretty much wearing them at all times in this house. In fact, they would be on my foot right now if I wasn't showing them to you. And I am very curious to know if any of you have tried these types of shoes. If so, please point me to the cute ones. Like, I am desperate to find a good-looking, fashionable pair of shoes that I can wear out in the real world. I will not be wearing this outside, even if it's warm. I'm sorry, they're just not cute. Now, I do have to say these are not for everyone. If you have high arches or severely flat feet, very weak ankle muscles, or orthopedic issues, barefoot shoes are probably not for you. But they are definitely for me. I would love to have like nice cool boots and some heels and, you know, all the shoes that you would wear with all the things. So please send help if you have it. Okay, the last one, number 10. It's kind of stupid, but it is a reality. And if you know me, you will probably know this is coming. It's Taco Bell hot sauce. Now, let me start by saying I'm a hot sauce gal in general across the board. I put some sort of heat on pretty much every meal. And we have more hot sauce in this house than just about anything. And I would eat Mexican food all day long if I could. Part of me thinks I was born in the wrong country. And before you say it, yes, I do know that Taco Bell is not authentic Mexican food. I know. But I have actually been addicted to this particular sauce since college. I probably could have said hot sauce as a category, but I said Taco Bell because I have to go to great lengths to have it here in this house. Many hot sauces I can actually buy here or I can get into Ireland. But Taco Bell, I have to buy in the US and bring it back in suitcases. These are glass bottles that take up space and weight in my suitcase. So that indicates commitment. It's not my most used hot sauce, but it's my most cherished. But I only seem to use it with certain meals or foods. Always on a baked potato, steamed veggies, of which I eat a lot in fairness, and any Mexican dish, but I would only use it as a topper. I don't cook with it or use it as an ingredient. And then there's this thing called mush. Now, I've been eating that since college. I'm only smiling because Gary's not a big fan of it. This is basically a big ass bowl of rice, black beans, scallions, chopped tomatoes, melted cheese, avocado, and sour cream, and tons of Taco Bell hot sauce. It's basically a big mushy mess and probably my favorite when no one else is around meal. It's not necessarily good for macros, like it's definitely lacking in protein, but it is good for my soul. So guys, that's it. That is 10 random things that keep me alive and sane. Now it's your turn. What are your can't live withouts? And I really hope you throw in some weird ones because I don't need to be on this journey alone, folks. Gary thinks I'm bonkers. Please hit the like button if you found something new and subscribe if you want to hear Gary roll his eyes next week, which he undoubtedly will do.
No.
You win. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye. You looking at clickbait?
Sure.
Then put your phone.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, you're not.